There it is. Hey, everybody. It's Mark Lettieri here. Welcome back. Or welcome for the first time, probably many of you, because I scheduled the first episode of this, apparently at an ungodly hour for most of the planet. Sorry about that. It was just kind of the only time I was free enough to do it. But we're here today on a Friday afternoon in Texas. It's kind of rainy outside. Hopefully it's nicer where you are. But thank you for being here. If it's your first time, welcome. If it's your second or third time, well, I guess it couldn't be your third time, but maybe it's your second time. Thank you for coming back. And what we're going to do today, first, we're going to check a text from Mr. Greg Goldberg, who says, good. Okay, Greg is here. Greg is my man from American Musical Supply, who will be helping with the chat, making sure I'm able to get all of y'all's questions. Hey, Duncan Plexico, thank you, sir. Happy Friday, support artists. That's right. I want to thank American Musical Supply actually for helping this out, not only with donating Greg, but for having this great microphone for me. This is an RE20, and it's really cool. It sounds amazing. I can use it on acoustic guitars and stuff too, so it's not just a podcasting mic. And you might not hear all the background noise that you did when I was using my Audio Technica. But anyway, all right, so let's see. Well, we've already got some questions coming in. Greg, I will talk about Luke, and we definitely will get to that. So if you're joining in, you don't know really what we're doing. We're just going to listen to the record. I put out my second Baritone Sessions album. Here it is. Oh, I signed this one. Look, this could be yours if you go to my website. And this is volume 2. And last week we listened to the first 5 tunes and talked about them. We talked about gear. We talked about how the songs came about. We talked about how they were recorded, how they were written, all that good stuff. Excuse me. And so for today, we're going to do the second half of the record. And I thought we would start off, well, it's track 6 is now side B, I think, if you get the vinyl. Side B starts off with the first single from the album. I feel like a radio DJ. With the first single from the album, it's entitled Starcatchers. And there's some meaning behind the title. I'll talk about that after the song is done. And it features quite an ensemble of my musical heroes, both from other generations and also current. Not that anyone is old or anything. Oh gosh, I should just stop talking before things get weird. All right, so without further ado, this is Starcatchers. Thanks, Steven. I turned it up. What's up, RJ? How's the music volume? Good? All right, here comes the big magic trick. Ha! There you have it. Starcatchers, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll just get into it. All right, so a lot of folks on this record. And what I was talking about earlier, some heroes of mine. Heroes that I idolized when I was younger and still do. And then heroes of mine that are my peers. Namely, there's this guy that played the guitar solo by the name of Steve Lukather. You may have heard of him as being Steve Lukather from the band Toto, but also one of the most incredible and prolific session players, producers, writers in music history. I have the utmost, deepest respect for that guy and his entire catalog and everything he's done. Heck, he's on Beat It. He's on the Thriller album. If you're interested in getting into session work or just learning how great guitar parts work in a pop song, that Michael Jackson Thriller album is one of the Bibles of that, right? And Luke had a major hand in that album. So thankfully we were introduced by a mutual friend, Prashant Aswani, who's also a fantastic guitar player and producer. He introduced us at an AM show, and maybe, I don't know, 3 years ago or something, and we've just been in touch ever since, texting and hanging and just talking crap to each other over the phone and stuff like that. He's just the coolest guy, just genuine, down to earth, incredibly humble, and just maniacally gifted. And so when I was working on this tune, I wanted a shuffle on the record. I think the last couple records I've done, I've had some kind of a shuffle because I love shuffles. But this one's a baritone shuffle, right? So ended up with kind of these changes that were a little Steely Dan-esque, kind of. And when it came time to the guitar solo section, I was like, man, I was recording it here at the house and did a million takes, and they were cool. I was happy with them. I would have put them on the record, but I was always just thinking like, what would Steve play here? How would Steve navigate this change or whatever? And by the time I had started recording the tune, I had already kind of amassed a bit of a guest list of friends of mine that were going to be playing on the record, and bass players and drummers and keyboardists mostly. But I was like, man, I'm just gonna ask Steve. And so I sent him an email, and he was like, are you kidding me? I would absolutely love to do this. And so we did it. So I sent it to him. He went over to his son Trev's studio, and they tracked it and sent it back, and there you have it. And as soon as I heard it, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's guitar tone is a mile wide. It makes my guitar sound a little small. So I went in and kind of re-recorded it and changed my tone around so it would kind of be a little bit bigger. So that was a nice learning experience, but that was the tune. Another big standout feature of it is the horns, which were done by my good friend Philip Lassiter, who is an incredible artist, horn arranger, and he has a record coming out in June, I believe on the 4th, called Long Live Love, which is a really, really incredible project that I got to work on with him. I did some guitars on quite a few of the tunes. And he and I have been working together a lot in varying capacities, and so I sent him the track. I said, hey man, you want to put some trumpets on this? And he said, well, I think it needs a whole section. And so he called in a couple guys, Sam Greenfield on sax, Doug DeHaze on bari sax, Christian Pearson on trombone, and Phil played the trumpet there. So yeah, there's 2 trumpet parts, I think. So it's like a 5-piece horn section. Phil did the trumpets, and then Christian, Doug, and Sam did the saxes and the bones. So we got this nice fat stack. Phil arranged it. I think he actually might be going live soon discussing how he wrote all the parts. So I didn't really give him any direction. I just kind of said, hey man, arrange horns for this. And so he did. And I think I maybe muted one little blap stab or something because it just sort of happened in the part where I wanted the guitar to be heard there. So I didn't really change anything to what he did. And then who else is on the track? Jason Thomas did the drums. He has the finest shuffle in all of the world. So I had to get him to do this track, Jason Thomas on the drums. And yes, that's right. Sam Greenfield just put out a really cool record too. It's really fun. Like the songs are really humorous and the playing is just awesome. So check that out. Where are we? So JT played the drums, and then on bass is my longtime buddy, Mr. Wes Stevenson, just thumping that low B on the shuffle. And then the keyboards is Mr. Justin Stanton, who did some really cool textural stuff with the Rhodes and kind of made my Mellotron parts more musical and better. He also played all that funky synth stuff at the end. So that's kind of how that tune came together. But again, like all the other ones, it was recorded remotely. So I sent the songs to everyone, and they recorded them at their own studios, which is kind of the way that all these tunes happened, pretty much. So somebody was asking about the metric modulation. That was my idea. It was part of the demo. It was just something that I had worked out with this riff. Let me call up the guitar again here, people. Sorry about that. Where are you at, guitar? There we go. So on the shuffle, it goes from a 4/4 shuffle. So you're flipping the triplets around. So instead of 4/4, you end up with a 6/4, like straight funk groove. It took me a minute to get it under my fingers, but I heard it in my head a lot quicker than I was able to play it. Of course, when I sent the track to JT, and he crushed it immediately, as did all the other guys. But yeah, the riff is kind of a bit of a finger twister, but once you get it, you won't forget it. It's kind of one of those muscle memory things. You're like, oh, okay, this makes sense. And then you can just go back and forth between the two things. So I thought that was pretty cool. And it's actually kind of fun to see people's reactions when it happens in the track. So that's always a good thing. So we're going from 4/4 to 6/4, if you're keeping tabs on time signatures. Let's see. Thank you, Duncan. I appreciate that. All y'all are tipping. That's very, very kind. I appreciate you. Thank you. I'm just scrolling through the chat here. Make sure I don't miss anything. This is the Supro Hampton baritone. This is the one I used on the tune. Primarily this guitar. I think there's a little bit of Dan Electro playing some little fills here and there, and then the main guitar melody that I play is the early Fiore prototype, the black one here, which I think I may have noted is now tuned to B, also to be a baritone. But and then the tone on that solo, or I'm sorry, on the actually I don't even know what Steve used on the solo. I don't know. He never told me. I should ask him. But the tone I used for the melody was a Kemper profile of a Dumble. Hey, a real one. That's the closest I've ever been to playing a real Dumble, was the digital recreation of said amp. So, you take what you can get, right? But that thing actually sounds really good. So that's what I used. So this baritone is tuned B to B. So business to business facing. There you go. Yeah, and the riff is... There it is, right? We'll have tabs for all this stuff very shortly, so you can pick it all apart and learn all the little goodies. So that was Starcatchers. But yeah, make sure you tune in to Phil Lassiter's live stream if you're a horn person and you're interested in doing that. Can you play the Home Improvement guitar solo? If you tip me $100, I might attempt it. Is there a Home Improvement guitar solo? All right, so let's get on to the next tune. All right, this one's kind of a fun one. I'll give you a little background here. Let's see. Oh, the song started with the riff, right? Yeah, so I wrote... That's actually a really good question, Andre. Thank you. I got all the riffs pretty much together. And then I was sort of debating whether I wanted it to be like a traditional baritone funk tune where the melody is sort of wrapped in the rhythm guitar part, or if I wanted it to be more of a standard guitar instrumental where there is a guitar melody out front. And I tried to make it work with just having the riff carry it, but it just needed a little bit of extra vocalization, and so I wrote the standard guitar melody for it. When I play this live, I play it on a baritone tuned to B, and then I just play the melody with like a sort of like a envelope filter sound to kind of give it a little bit more texture. Well, just kind of bring it out front of the mix a little bit. And then I actually solo on a baritone in B, so it doesn't really sound like Steve. But so after that, when I kind of figured out, okay, this is going to be more of a traditional instrumental guitar tune, I got the melody together and then just sort of arranged it to where it felt right and the sections were the right length and the melody was carrying over in all the right spots. And the name of it actually came from a short story that my mom and dad wrote for my daughter called Starcatchers. It's a fantasy story about rabbits and things like that, called the Starcatchers, and I thought that was pretty cool, and it fit in with the space theme of the record. So that's how Starcatchers came to be. Some kind of cool changes in there, getting from the B section back to the A section. I hear Luke's style of play in the riff. Did he inspire you? Yeah, like I said, Luke's been a massive influence on me, especially not just as a guitar player, but as like a guitar arranger, like for getting ideas for how to make guitar parts fit in a song. I mean, he's just a master at that. So absolutely, yeah, very, very thankful that he lended his skills to this tune. So let's see. Yeah, and the animation, we did this really cool music video for it that my friends Brad and Emily Holt did. They're here in Texas, and they're just master animators and just really wacky and had a lot of fun. And I just kind of told them, like, well, it's space. I don't know. Make it weird. And they were like, got it. We can do that. And so they did. And so there's like exploding chickens and trumpet playing parrots, and the giant deep logo gets vaporized by a space shuttle. And, you know, I guess you could like, you know, I'm not endorsing it, but I don't know, you can get high and watch it. It's probably pretty fun. Just be careful. All right. Thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate it very much. Shall we get on to the next tune? Of course, I can always come back and, you know, we can talk about something else if I remember it. But, all right, next song. This one is called Blue Straggler, and the featured guest on this one is Mr. Travis Toy on steel guitar from Rascal Flatts. He also plays in the Andy Wood Band. Really great. Well, he's a character. He's also incredibly gifted at playing anything with strings. He's one of those people that you're just like, dude, you also play that? Wow, okay. So, Travis Toy's on steel, Nate Smith is on drums, and Jacob Collier is on background vocals. So make sure you listen to what he added to this, because it's really, really unique, and kind of brings this tune into a weird place that is perfect. It's a mix of ethereal vocals and country music and funk, which seems to work for me, I guess. So this is Blue Straggler, and I think I've adjusted the volume so it'll be plenty loud. All right. Michael, you're not the only person that thought it was a synth. All right, that's Blue Straggler. Yes, there are vocals on that tune. It's funny. A gentleman wrote a record review of the album, very, very kind review, but said that he was like, I saw Jacob's name in the credits, but I'm not sure I hear his contribution. I think a lot of people thought that was some sort of keyboard patch, but that's Jacob stacked a lot. He did quite a few harmonies and blended them together and sent them to me, and we mixed them in there. So, yeah, really, really cool to have him be part of this. I'm a huge fan. We worked together for the first time back when Snarky Puppy did a family dinner volume. Volume 2 was that family dinner out, and he came in and did a song called Don't You Know, I believe, which was like stupid funky. I mean, that guy's just a genius. I mean, y'all already know all the incredible stuff that he's doing, so I'm thankful that he wanted to throw some cool stuff on this, and really kind of took the tune to a different location, which was the whole point. I wanted this song to be a bit left of center, hence why there's pedal steel on it. The riff was written primarily on the bocce guitar, tuned down to G, so the low, somebody asked that, so the low 6th string is a G. I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but the working title of the song was Drunk Tree, like country drunk, because that's kind of how it made me feel. And I may have had a scotch or two before I started writing it. So anyway, that's why we're here. Totally honest. But anyhow, so it came together. Nate played some super funky stuff, just did the whole Nate Smith thing all over it. And Travis came in and did the pedal steel, which was cool because he's very adept at making a pedal steel fit in stuff that's not necessarily country, So he's great with voicings and tones and space and all this cool stuff, but he can also twang the crap out of stuff when he wants to. So we had a little solo trading moment there. And I played the bass myself with the exotic bass there, and pretty much everything went through my Rev Amps D20, which is under the desk, but I promised that that's what it was. And I didn't even really do much. I think I used like one cab simulator on the Rev and just kind of adjusted the gain depending on the part. And then, there's some reverbs and delays and stuff in there too. And I think the baritones at the beginning were a neural DSP plugin. But most of it was the Rev, and this is a killer. It's a direct tube powered amp that you can run direct into your computer. So that was very helpful to have. So yes, I'm on bass and guitars. Jacob is on background vocals. There's one part in there, if you listen to it, he's got like this crazy tremolo effect that he put on it in the little pre-chorus there. Travis Toy on steels and Nate Smith on drums. And that is Blue Straggler. My manager was like, he was thinking we should pitch it to Nashville Country Radio or something like that. So they would probably kick me out. I'd be banned from Nashville if I came in there with something crazy like that. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe if you know somebody, help us out. Put us up next to Luke Bryan or something like that. That'd be cool. The Leslie sound in the solo was a Logic plugin called Scanner Vibrato, I think. Ed B says, do you play your baritone through a guitar or bass rig live? I use a guitar rig. And what I've been doing lately, because on the gig I am transitioning between baritone and regular guitar, I have for the first time ever, really, almost, I have a compressor pedal on my board. And I'm using it actually as like a bit of a volume leveler. I'm using a Jackson Audio Blossom compressor, which is really, really cool because you can actually blend in the amount of compression you want. And so what I'll do is, like, when it's time for the baritone, I step on that pedal and leave it on for the whole song, but I just have the volume bumped a little bit and the compression up a hair, so it equalizes the volume, but I still get kind of a little bit of the sustain that I need. So thank you, Jackson Audio, for that. It's been a big help because prior to that, I was like walking back and having to turn the amp down and EQ things before we could even get to the gig started, or the song started. So it's nice having that little pedal where I can just step on something and get it done. So that was Blue Straggler. Wow, we've gone for 30 minutes and I've only talked about 2 songs. We should move faster, I think, but I appreciate all of the questions. Let me see if I can get any more on this tune. for, let's see. Oh, there's a good question. Andre says, when adding so many layers, how do you know you've gone too far that you could still add some stuff? Lots of trial and error. There's so much here, but it doesn't get too crowded. I've got a pretty good ear for what's too much at this point, just because I've been making music like this for a while. I think when there's too much, it better be by design. It better be so that it serves a purpose to where the listener is like, doesn't know what's happening, right? But if you have a whole song, like, which is cool for like a moment in a song, but if the whole song is like that, then the song falls apart. So I'm usually pretty conscious about like, if I add this, is it going to take away from the most important part of what's happening right now? Is that the groove, or is it a melody or a riff or something? So I do try to be really conscious about just like throwing stuff up there because it was fun to play, right? So, there's some stuff in like Red Dwarf, for example, where there's like guitars coming at you left and right, but it's only for like a specific set of bars, and then it goes back into everyone playing this unison line. So that's kind of by design. But if the whole song was like that, you probably wouldn't like it as much if you like it anyway. So let's get on to the next tune. Let's see. Would you ever consider making a diary of the process of how you make a tune? I might, yeah. Well, maybe. One of the plans I think I have is to take a couple of these songs and like actually break down the tracks and isolate them and show you how they kind of came together. So that's on the docket of stuff I need to do as far as content creation. Welcome to the 21st century, where you play guitar 20% of the time and content create 80% of the time, So, yeah, this is my Thin Lizzy shirt. It's one of my favorite shirts. All right. Oh, cool. All right. This track is one of my favorites. It's kind of a sleeper track on the record. Up next is Nebuli, which kind of also has a little sort of country thing happening. I don't know. Maybe I've been living in Texas for a really long time. So I'm going to play this one for you and we'll talk about it. All right. love the bass line in this song. All right, all right, all right. That was Nebuli. And I'm seeing a lot of questions about this one. That's good. I knew you'd be like, what the heck is going on in here? Because there's some interesting things happening. I'll do these backwards. Well, no, maybe I won't. I'll start. I don't know. Let's see. Thank you for the dialogue. This is good stuff. So this song actually, again, like a lot of these, started off of an Instagram riff that I just sort of thought was cool and put on Instagram and just sort of saved in my encyclopedia of stuff that I think is cool enough to be songs one day. So that's where it started. The players on this record are very, very important to the sound of this. On drums is Tayron Lockett, who's one of my dear, dear friends. He plays live with me a lot too. We've been playing together forever, and he plays in Corey Henry and the Funk Apostles group. So he's on drums. On bass is another longtime buddy of mine, Mr. Braylon Lacey, who's played live with me. He's played on some of my records, and he's also been Erykah Badu's bass player forever. You can hear him on Mama's Gun, the legendary Badu record. He also works with Kirk Whalum, a bunch of players, and he's just insane. Dallas guy, Braylon Lacey on bass. And on harmonica, that's Mr. Frédéric Yonnet, who he's from France, and he has an incredible solo career. He also worked with Prince a whole bunch. And there's actually quite a bit of YouTube footage of him playing with Prince. And he and I met, I think at a NAMM Jam or some kind of thing like that. And then we've been hanging out playing with Dave Chappelle together. He has a band called The Band with No Name, which is basically Dave's kind of like personal party band. Dave likes to throw big parties. He'll do comedy. He'll invite his comedian friends to come hang out, lots of special guest artists and singers. And The Band with No Name is the house band for these parties. And so I've been kind of a in and out member of that band for a little while, playing with Frédéric. There's a lot of people in the band. I mean, we just kind of rotate whoever's kind of around or available or near the party. And so I've been on a couple of those with Frédéric and Dave, and it's really, really a good time. And I brought him in because one, I've always wanted to work with him outside of Dave's thing, and two, I wanted a solo on this that wasn't an instrument that I had. I didn't want a guitar solo. I didn't want a baritone solo. I thought maybe about doing a horn solo, but I decided to save that for Supernova with Keith Anderson. So I was like, perfect. This is the tune for Fred. And what he does, he plays a diatonic harmonica, which means he has to play in the key of essentially what the song is with the harmonica. So you see those blues harp players, they wear the vests with like one harmonica per key, right? It's different than a chromatic harmonica, which is like what Stevie Wonder plays, where you can play in any key with one harmonica. But with the diatonic ones, if the song's in G, then you need a harmonica that's in that right key. But Frédéric can bend notes on a diatonic harmonica so it works chromatically. So that's why he's able to kind of basically play in whatever key. He's just a total virtuoso on that thing. And as far as the tone, he recorded that at his house. I'm not sure what mic he used, but I didn't really do anything to it outside of some kind of spacey reverb I think I put on it. That's pretty much just his sound. He gets that real gravelly, bendy, bluesy tone. I see a lot of people saying it's future blues. Absolutely. Let's take it to the 21st century, baby. You know what I mean? So, so there's definitely some blues in there. A lot of these songs probably are just a response to what was listening to over the summer when I was kind of fleshing stuff out, which was like a lot of 90s music, like grunge and R&B. So this tune reminds me of like Tony meets Stone Temple Pilots or something like that. I was listening to a lot of Alice in Chains this summer. And a lot of Tony, a lot of Chucky Booker. So pretty diverse set of stuff, but I like my funk to have a little bit of a rock edge. And so it kind of makes sense to me that those influences will come together to form tunes like this. So there's probably a Prince vibe in there too, because Prince in maybe everything I do at some point, but, let's see. Just trying to get some of these questions. Yep, there's probably some King's X in there too. They're one of my favorite bands. The King's X shirt was dirty, otherwise I would have wore that one. But let's see. Sorry, just scrolling, friends. Yeah, these are ATH M50Xs. with some tape on them from the last Snarky Puppy session. I think I did, so I knew that they were mine. Let's see. Do you edit guitar tracks a lot, or you prefer to make them sound as much played live as possible? Well, they're definitely all played live. I mean, I'll edit them if they need to be cleaned up or anything, but pretty much what you see is what you get. I mean, it's not quantized or anything like that. And of course, I do have to go play them live, so I try to at least present the parts that need to be presented, the most appropriate parts of the tunes. With these, it's a little bit harder to pick out than it is maybe with some of my other music where there's like a really clear melody. But with these baritone tunes, the riffs are written in a way so they are presented as like the most melodic statement. So the hooks are in the riffs and the grooves with these tunes. So as long as we're playing that stuff, it usually comes across well. So JT's here. Oh man, I should bring him on. Everybody say hi to Jason Thomas. We're about to play one of your tunes, dude. We already played Starcatchers, but we're going to play Supernova next, which is actually another one of the tunes that sounded like Soundgarden meets Parliament Funkadelic meets, I'm not really sure, because I played a 7-string at the end and it gents or something, or somebody told me that it gented. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, you guys can bombard JT with as many questions as you want. He stepped into the fire here. So, here's a good question. Have you ever tried a Fender Bass 6? Yeah, totally. There's actually a couple demos of me doing one or playing one for Lark Guitars. I love a Bass 6. I just don't own one. Do you second guess your decisions when listening to your songs, or can you enjoy them as finished songs? Well, eventually I can enjoy them as finished songs. But yeah, a lot of these go through different iterations before I'm happy with them. So, Herman Gallardo's here. What's up, dude? All right, so we're going to go ahead and get to Supernova. And yeah, now that JT's here, he played the drums on this, and Bobby Sparks played the keyboards, all sorts of keyboards, and key bass. I played a little bit of keyboards and key bass on it, but it's mostly Bobby because he's way better. And then Mr. Keith Anderson of Prince, and also Marcus Miller, and a well-respected solo artist in his own right. He's got a bunch of records out, actually. Keith Anderson, not the country singer. Keith Anderson, the tenor sax player. Make sure you check him out. He is the featured soloist on Supernova. This was one of the first songs that kind of came together, actually. And I had this riff floating around for a while, and then it just kind of went left. This song kind of goes in a lot of different places. And there is some metal at the end, vaguely. So I'll play it and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. All right, here is Supernova. No, Jeff, I don't. There's a lot of cat hair underneath there. All right. That was Supernova. And that's a fun song. I'm actually looking forward to JT. We got to figure out how to play that one live. We might need some extra guitar players for that one. So I don't know. Might need to hire some of you people in the chat. Get to it. So yeah, that's Supernova. And it definitely, at least to my ears, has like a 90s grunge thing meets some sort of weird Parliament funkadelic thing to it. So yeah, I'm holding a 7-string. This is my Kiesel Solo 7 that I used for the... I don't even know what tuning this is in actually right now, so I'm not going to attempt to play it. But that was this guitar into a Kemper profile of a Mesa triple rectifier because of right? So the solo on that one was the Black Fiore prototype. And didn't do a whole lot of takes of that one. Just kind of fired up this crazy neural plug-in with a load of gain and just went to town and was like, well, cool, that worked. Save that one. I probably had every intention of going and redoing it, but I think it worked out. It was pretty good. It's a fun solo. Every now and then I like to, rock and do all those things. It's not just whatever it is that I do. It's, it's funk, it's rock, it's whatever. I don't know. I like playing guitar. So let's see. A couple questions about that one. Making Periphery and Alex Lifeson happy. Awesome. I'll take it. So, yeah, let's see. There, and the Viking helmet was a gift from my parents for Christmas. So thanks. I wear it. It serves a purpose. It's very uncomfortable. And yes, somebody mentioned it should have headphones in there. That would actually be pretty cool. Herman says Soundgarden meets Prince meets Mark Lettieri. Sure, I'll take it. Thanks, buddy. So let's see. I'm just scrolling back up here. Loved what Keith Anderson played. He sent me like 4 solos actually, and I chose the one that I thought was, well, they were all cool, but that one was the coolest. And so much love to Keith for doing that. JT, you did this track in like a couple takes, right? Didn't take you very long. I think let's see. I guess, I'll talk about the drum session. So we went in, JT does everything in like 2 takes. So it's easy. We went into January Sound up in Farmers Branch, Texas with my longtime engineer, Mr. Joey Lomas, who has engineered and mixed just about all of my solo records. He doesn't do the baritone stuff, but he does like Spark and Echo and things of that nature, because I love the way he gets that music really vibey and gets all the nice space and stuff. I love the way Max approaches this kind of stuff. So, I like the way both of those guys approach the different kinds of music that I give them. So that's why I utilize them. So we went up to January Sound, brought in some demos, and JT went in there and crushed it. We did a couple tunes. I think we did like 4 tunes that day or something like that. And that was a fun session. And that's how we did the drums on Baritone Volume 1 too. We just went up to January Sound with some demos and played them down and got everything together. So yeah, grunge funk. That's a good one. Seattle funk. Either way, all those things work. There's some effects on there. It's all probably stuff from Logic, maybe. I'll have to go back and look. This might be one of the songs that we'll do the producer breakdown for. That would be fun. But also this is kind of one of those songs where like the riff is kind of the hook, right? As you notice, there's no real defined melody, but there's a lot of textures and this kind of strong repetitive riff that just goes. So this, I would say, is somewhat of a stereotypical baritone funk song of mine, if there is such a thing. But please make a collab with Animals as Leaders. I don't think I could keep up with those guys. I need some stuff that's in 4/4, but I would love to. They're one of my favorite current bands. I love those cats. So definitely probably some influence from them in some of this stuff, as well as Periphery for sure. I was listening to a lot of those bands this summer, along with all my funk and R&B stuff, Zapp and Roger. So if you're not hip to them, get hip to them. What's up, Chris McQueen? Hey, he's got a record coming out. Reed McQueen. It was an incredible acoustic duo with his buddy Matt Reed. It's like folk, classical, jazz, duo acoustic stuff. Really, really killer writing, beautiful playing, and they got a record coming out on Ground Up Music, part of the Ground Up family, pretty soon actually. Maybe Chris, if you want to just let everybody know the date, because I don't know it off the top of my head, but people need to check it out. And all right, so let's see. Is it me or do I hear a marimba? You do. Well, not a real one. It's a mellotron. Bobby Sparks has a really awesome collection of vintage synthesizers, and he will utilize all of them unless you tell him not to. And so there's a lot of mellotron on these tunes, and I loved the way the marimba worked with the guitars, and it's a weird, almost like Portishead Bjork thing with the down-tuned chorus guitar arpeggios. It's like a riff that it's like this, I think. Let's see if I can remember how it goes. Where's Logic? Here we go. I think it's like this. And this guitar is really out of tune. But that's basically how the riff goes. We've been having some humidity here in the Metroplex. So all my stuff, this is how prepared I am to play for you today. I just like pull the guitars off and assume that they're in tune, but they're not. But that's pretty much how the riff goes. Watch, that's going to be, you guys are going to like screenshot that moment and share that to Instagram. Please don't do that. All right. Anyway, tune your guitars, kids. It's important. The intro always reminds me of Aerials by System of a Down. Interesting. Okay. I can't say I'm like super familiar with that tune. I feel like maybe I've heard it at one point, but that's an interesting perspective. I'll gotta check that out. Zapp and Roger. How do you choose the guitars for the songs? Oh man, it's kind of just. I'm really in tune with in tune. Haha. No, I'm not. I'm very aware of the flavor of each guitar, and so I just kind of let that maybe dictate it. Just like you would choose any guitar for a session or something like that. It's no different with the baritone stuff. The Dan Electro has that really kind of classic in-your-face mid-range growl, right? The Bocce's a little bit more open and funky and light. And then the Supro has single coils, which is kind of a pretty interesting sound, and then the PRS is a pretty heavy sounding guitar. I would use that maybe on like some metal stuff, but it cleans up nice too. So that one's kind of becoming the sort of like do it all baritone for live stuff. And it's very comfortable to play. And then I have my Big Six over there, which is essentially a six string bass. And I use that for actually bass lines primarily, but it also has the split pickup thing if you want to do the Charlie Hunter bass and treble sort of comping vibe. But yeah, William, I think you just asked about that. I already asked, but what do you think about the hybrid guitars? Yeah, they're really, really cool. A lot of the bass guitar on the Baritone Sessions is me playing that thing. It's kind of like cheating because I can play guitar lines with a pick and boom, In fact, the last song on the record that we're going to hear, Sublight, the bass track on that song is that Big Six, and that little bass solo thing is me playing basically a guitar solo just on the little bass thing. So without further ado, I guess we could kind of get to that song. Hey, want to sell your garage? No. Why would you ask such a thing? That guitar ain't going nowhere. Very important question. How do you choose your t-shirts? Well, I was going to wear a Van Halen one today, but it's white and not as slimming as the black one, so I chose the black Thin Lizzy one for today, but maybe in a couple weeks I'll be feeling better about myself and I can wear the white one, the white Van Halen one. So, when are you going to slap the baritone? Actually, I did that on an Instagram video like 4 or 5 years ago, and nobody saw it. So maybe I'll repost it. I think people just thought I was playing bass or just being silly. I'm not really sure, but yeah, scroll down on my Instagram. It's there from like 5 or 6 years ago. Maybe not 6. I don't think I was on Instagram 6 years ago, but it's been a while. Yes, the PRS SE277 is kind of hard to get a hold of. Their PRS is making a lot of stuff right now, and I don't know if they're really making that one. I mean, full disclosure across the board, there's not like tons of demand for baritone guitars these days. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily my goal to like create that demand, but I suppose maybe I did or something. But yeah, so that one's a little hard to find. You can get the Dan Electros pretty easily. Or if you really want, a nice custom job, hit up Mr. Bruno Bocce and he'll build you one. And again, the Supros are cool and relatively affordable as well. And Duesenberg makes a nice Barry as well. I would recommend that one. So let's see. Well, I guess we can go ahead and get to the last tune. What does it feel like to live in a guitar shop? Well, all the guitars are not in tune, which makes me feel a little bit silly. But anyhow, all right, so let's get to the last song. This is just kind of a cool little acoustic number. The good people at Ibanez had sent me a baritone acoustic, which is really cool guitar. And I was like, well, I got to write something on this. There's got to be something on the record with the acoustic. The demo that I had originally, it kind of sounded more like, or let's just say the first thing I wrote on it ended up sounding more like something that should be electric. So I didn't really pursue it much. So what I did is I actually just took the guitar out of the case, put it in a random tuning, and then, which I don't even really remember what it was. I'm hoping I wrote it down. Pretty sure I did. It's like some kind of open major 9 chord, I think. And maybe I might be lying to you. I don't know. I got to go back and look at that one. And just kind of worked up this piece around it. And that became Sublight. And, well, here, I'll play it and then we'll keep talking about it. I think the baritone is, oh, it's right there. I'll get it out. All right, here comes Sublight. If I can find Logic. Come on. Shimon. Here we go. All right, that was Sublight. Here's the guitar I was talking about. Unfortunately, it's not still in the tuning, but here's how it sounds. So it's a really cool guitar. Did Max fix that part or did I actually play it right? You played it right, Goober. This one features JT on snare drum and only snare drum. So JT's on the snare and there's a little like loop that I built in Logic that's kind of tucked underneath it. But the rest of it is this guitar doubled in certain parts, but mostly just one track all the way through. Actually, no, I think it is just one track. And then there's some auxiliary stuff that I did with my Martin. And then, yeah, there's a couple fills on this one. And yeah, I have a video of myself playing it so I can remember the tuning, but it's totally not in my brain right now, so I apologize. But and then the bass track is Sublight. The song's called Sublight. The bass track is the Big Six thing. So yeah, this tune came together like pretty quick. I wrote it, maybe, I don't know, in a day or two or something like that. It's not a super complex arrangement or anything, but I just wanted something different. You know, the whole record is very in your face and energetic, and so I just wanted something to kind of close it off. Nice little nightcap, so to speak. And that one was mixed by Joey Lomas, who I said has done a lot of my stuff, and I love the way he does my acoustic guitar. So we recorded that one up at January Sound, and that was that. So that's the record. That is Deep, the Baritone Sessions Volume 2. And I'm sure there's a lot more we could say about it, but I'll hang out for a little while longer if you guys have any more questions. And like I said, going forward, we're going to have some guitar playthrough videos happening, and then probably some like little behind the tune production videos where we'll talk about each individual track and stuff like that. The loop is so there's a little like sub kick sound like thud in the loop that I made there. But JT's snare is just kind of bubbling on top of everything. So let me see if there was any questions in here that I kind of forget. Well, here's a good one. How do you keep the baritone and bass out of each other's way on these records? Are they often playing the same thing or different but similar parts? It's really about it's like putting a puzzle together. Now, you can have them play the same thing and it'll sound fine. You just have to kind of think about what you want the intent of that part to be. Do you want it to be big and fat in unison? Or do you want the part to have, maybe a little bit more color or just a different direction where the baritone's doing a thing and a bass is doing a different thing? I think a good example of that would be on Red Dwarf. The guitar is playing a very distinct riff, and then Derek is kind of doing his own thing kind of around it, which is kind of the way I intended it to have him do it. And then, some of the other tunes, I just sort of write the bass parts or direct the bass parts so that they fit around the baritone guitar. I mean, it's really just about, you just kind of have to use your ear a little bit, and just understand that in the mix, you have to be mindful about sort of how which instruments you want to fit and how you want sort of the low end to feel, right? I mean, the problem is when you have too many things playing the same thing in the same register, then nothing will be able to be brought forth in the mix, right? Another sort of trick with all this baritone stuff is that a lot of the bass lines are keyboards. So I'm not even worrying about electric bass guitar. With a synth bass, you have a whole other set of range you can go through and another set of like sounds, right? You're not just stuck with like bass guitar. And so that's a cool vibe. I think sort of one of the hallmarks of baritone funk is the baritone with like a synth bass, And so, that's a great question. It takes some practice, but you'll figure it out. I mean, the more you write songs, the more you'll just kind of be aware of how to arrange all the instruments. I mean, it doesn't really happen. It's not just for baritone. It's kind of for everything, right? So, So Gianni, well, thank you, man. A Pulsar it's primarily key bass and baritone, right? Same with Supernova is all key bass. There's no actual bass guitar on that song. I'm gonna go lay this down. Well, I keep holding it. It's not that big of a deal. Man, I appreciate everybody hanging out. JT says, awesome party, dude. See you tomorrow. Yeah, man. If you're in the Dallas area, me, JT, and Braylon Lacey are doing a trio gig at the Dallas Guitar Festival. We're on at 3:45 on the Sweetwater stage. I don't know where that is, but it's probably somewhere on the festival grounds. So if you want to come and see us tomorrow, we'll be there doing like an hour set. I think we're right on after Greg Koch, maybe, so you can come see two of your hopefully favorite guitar players cracking wise, So Mark, do you have any favorite non-music inspirations for albums like these? They make me think of cool, engaging video games for some reason. I get the video game comparison a lot, which is funny because I'm not a gamer really like at all. But I can see it, and I think that's awesome. I think, it would be fun to have some of these tunes in a game or something like that. So if you know somebody at EA Sports or whatever, send them my way. That'd be cool. Or maybe Bungie. I did think Halo was a cool game, though I never owned it. But, I get inspiration from everything, not just music. Do you plan to take the trio outside of Texas at some point? Yeah, when we're allowed to. We generally actually play not in Texas, believe it or not. The trio, we spend a lot of time in Europe, as well as different parts of the States. But we do play here a lot. We just haven't done it in a minute because we've kind of been on the road. But We used to have a residency in Dallas, actually, which was fantastic. But we do have some more local shows coming up in the next couple months, so check my website for those when they get posted. Our CD is going to be available soon again. I was just informed that they are sold out on the website. I think I have some more that I can put up. This is sort of the issue with being an independent artist, is that I have to like ration what I have so that I have stuff to bring to gigs versus what I have to be able to give to you guys online. So I'll see if I can grab some stuff there and put some more up there. But thank you for purchasing them. If you've done that, that's really awesome. I appreciate that. Actually, as soon as we're done here, I'm going to go back to my living room, aka known as the Amazon packing and shipping department, and continue packing up vinyls and things like that. So thank you for supporting those. They sound really good, by the way. It's 180 gram, which means the bass is big, right? So, unrelated to the album, but how's the clean headroom on that PRS amp there? It's great. Do you ever use the gain channels? Sometimes, but I really don't use gain channels on amps ever. The only one that I really use gain channel a fair amount is my Nailer back there, and that's really only in the studio. I'm one of those people that likes a nice clean platform for my pedals. I love my drive pedals, right? So the Sunzera has a great clean channel for the pedals. But good question, man. Seattle area, please. We're working on it, Chris. Actually, might be heading up to Tacoma for the guitar festival up there, and we'll see what the situation is like that. But yeah, of course we want to do it if it's safe. Of course, not just for us, but for you guys, because we want that to be cool for everybody. So, London, UK. Hey Jeff, we might be there this summer in July. Still working that out. It's on the list of places to get a gig. So I think we do have something. I think maybe at the Jazz Cafe. I don't know if I can confirm that, but that would be nice. So can my kids come and bother me right now? I mean, I suppose they can, but I'm not going to, or she can, but I'm not going to let her because this is important work. Well, cool. Thank you guys for hanging. I know it's been kind of over an hour, but if there's any more like baritone deep related questions, I'll take them. But I'll be there if you are. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it, man. We'll keep I hear him. It's time. Do you drink Rolling Rock? When it's free. Yeah. It's not my beer of choice. I've been on to the Abita, which is really great stuff, like Abita Turbo Dog. It's an awesome brown ale. And, hey, what's that very first chord in Magnetar? I think it's like it's an A, so it's like an A minor 13, I think. Probably. So anyway, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for the questions. Thank you for tipping. That's very kind. And again, check my website. We'll be posting as many dates as I can there. If you're into some physical merch, we've got it there. Just watch my socials. Hopefully be getting some more YouTube content coming up. And I don't know, I'm kind of overdue for an Instagram post, I guess, but we'll get something like that back hopefully soon. Probably involving the record, maybe involving some of the people that worked on the record. Will there be deep transcription? Yes, Volume 2 will be soon. Volume 3 in 2022. Hopefully. It took me long enough to do this one. Anyway, but much love to you guys. I appreciate it. And I'm going to go ahead and end, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, peace.